think, Renae, you should share the one about that has something to do with Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in.
Are you a Taylor Swiftie? Are you a
huge,
Swiftie?
Since Tim McGraw.
Oh, boom,
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah, right away.
Think about which of these types of tactics, these gamification tactics, that they might be able to use in their business. It could be used for any type of business, not just subscription boxes, whether you're product-based, service-based, or brick and mortar, whatever.
And I would just add to that, start small, keep it simple, make sure that not only your customers are enjoying it, but you're enjoying doing it too.
Everybody, today I am very excited. I have not one, but two guests. They say two is better than one, and apparently that's the situation here. I have two guests that have actually been on my list for a while. So I have like this list in our project management tool, ClickUp, of people that I want on the podcast and I've been following for a good amount of time. And these two ladies have been on the list, I don't know, since like last year. So with me, I have Julie Ball and Renae Gonzalez from Subscription Box Basics, which they have their own podcast. You need to go listen to it. Even if you're not a subscription box, there's so much overlap that you can learn from it. And I finally got them on the podcast. I had to twist their arm and show up at their house and keep knocking until finally somebody came and said, I'll be on the podcast. But I want to give just a little prerequisite here for just some of their experience in what they do. So Julie and Renae both run Subscription Box. Is it besties or basics.com?
Subscriptionboxbasics.com, but we've
Basics.com.
got several programs in there, one called the Besties.
Oh, that's it. Maybe that's where I see it on Instagram or something. But Julie, you started, and just so I have a little background on you, so you started Sparkle Hustle Grow.
Yeah.
And that led you into Subscription Box. You shipped over 65,000 boxes, did millions of dollars in sales, and you sold that business. Renae, you had a brick and mortar, and by fate and destiny, you came together and you started Subscription Box Basics, where now you teach ladies in particular is what I think I've learned. That's your prime audience, how to start and grow subscription box businesses.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's it.
Yep, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Our 6-year journey, in a nutshell.
Oh, hold on. We got to at least walk it back a little bit. So how did you both meet in the first place? Because I think when we spoke last time, you aren't even in the same locations. Like you're in different locations.
Yeah, we're on opposite coasts. I'm in North Carolina and Renae is in California. And in 2016, it was late 2016 when I launched Sparkle Hustle Grow. And it was only 4 months into the business when I attended an event called the Boss Mom Retreat. It was in San Diego. Both Renae and I went there not knowing anyone. We literally showed up like looking to make friends. We're both pretty extroverted. And so we connected over the fact that we're both girl moms and business owners and met at the taco truck. So, I mean, it was a story. It's immediately we were business besties, and several months later into the business, I had posted in a Facebook group saying I needed some help with my business. I needed a virtual assistant at the time. Renae was looking to exit her own business. And I said, whoever's interested, follow these instructions. Do not DM me. And guess who DM'd me?
Nice. Renae, you were that gal.
Yeah, I broke the rules, but it worked. Yeah. And yeah, as fate would have it. And I didn't even know at that point the business or the owner of my brick and mortar shop business, the actual building, she was planning to sell. So as months went on, I ended up deciding that closing my business was the best idea. My girls were getting older. I wanted to transition it into something more e-commerce. So I ended up starting to work more and more for Julie. And then time just kept going on and all the other things happened.
Yeah. What started as like 5-10 hours a month grew into a pretty much full-time position with the business. And she is now the marketing coach at Subscription Box Basics. We've grown the business together. And I think that's one of the things that makes it fun is it doesn't feel lonely because I've got Renae.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So was it hard? Was it hard selling and leaving your previous businesses?
I think it when it came down to it, there was a lot of work. So physically mentally, there was a lot of work. That was hard. Emotionally, it took me about a year to prepare for it because I was the face of the brand. So as I shared my intentions with Renae, she helped me pull back my face as in all the social media, making it a little less about me being the leader and it just being a community of women as the Sparkle Hustle Grow community. And so there was a lot that went into it. I didn't know anything about selling a business. It's not something that people really talked about in the subscription box industry. So I had to learn it on the fly, but I had some really great people in my corner.
And for me, I knew it was the right decision when I made it, but post closing my shop, it was a journey for years for me just to have a new identity. I think it even transitioning into working with Julie, when I would talk to people in person, because I had a brick and mortar, I was very hesitant about saying what my new thing was because it was like a crossover of identity. So I always knew and still know it's the right decision, and so grateful. Everything I am doing now is right for my family and for me. But I did have a little post identity crisis when I was switching from being a brick and mortar business owner to doing things online.
I feel like that's what would have happened to me. I think of, we've had our business for 10 years now, and I try to imagine if I sold this or exited it, how depressing, because there's just all of those memories and all of the legacy, the things that you did that you're leaving. And I think you put it right, Renae, like you're stepping into a new identity that you're embracing and growing and sprouting into something until like it really takes root. You're still in that old identity. So that makes sense why it took so long. Well, what I would kind of say just from my perspective. So for both of you, I think that there's certain people, and I don't know about you, but there are certain people in life that you come across, that you listen to, that you follow, you watch their videos, that you're just like, you're a good soul. Like there's a good aura about you. And I just want to say, and both of you have that about you. I think that and it makes sense why you're building something that when I tell my community on coaching sessions, so next week or in 2 weeks or this week, I'm interviewing Julie and Renae from Subscription Box Basics. And then I get like, oh my gosh, they're the best. They're the best. They're the best. And when I get to see that, I'm like, well, this is just validation that you're both doing what you're called to do and you're doing that purpose. And that I just want to affirm you and like you stepped into something that is impacting lives. And it's really cool that I actually get to have you on here to talk about some of this. So.
I know, I'm blushing. Oh my goodness.
You can have us on anytime.
Yeah.
And right back at you from the little that we've gotten to know you, we immediately have said the same exact thing. But I really do think that Julie and I are, as a partnership, I agree that, and when I told Julie I wanted to be part of her Sparkle Hustle Grow at the very beginning, that is what I said. I was like, I already have a full-time business. Like, I don't know where this is going to lead, but I want to be part of what you're doing. So I echo both of you, put out the same little aura.
Cool. Well, and the one thing we all have in common is we all have margaritas as our favorite drink. That's one thing I learned on your bios.
Maybe that's a secret.
That's the only drink that I'll have, actually. So I think that's funny. Well, great. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to just soak in some of the knowledge from you. You both are in the subscription box world. I have people in our community that are subscription box. I'd say majority aren't. So every time I get to talk and get new perspective, I think that there's always so much to be learned and that can be applied. So even if you're listening to this right now and you're like, hey, you guys are all awesome and they sound like they have a good aura and you guys are all going to have a great podcast, but I don't do subscription box, keep listening because I'm sure there's going to be some good stuff within this. So if we pull back a little bit, can you bring me up to speed? So Julie, walk me through Sparkle Hustle Grow as a foundation. What was the business? What was kind of the model with that? Just so we know what that was. And then I want to talk a little bit about how you grew that, if that's okay.
Okay. Yes. Sparkle Hustle Grow is a monthly subscription box for female entrepreneurs. So every single month there would be books, like personal development books, probably all the books that you're reading right now, things like that, office supplies, tech gadgets, and stationery. We also had a community that in the community, we would bring in guest experts each month, someone like yourself who would come in and teach our community business skills. So we always tried to partner up with people who had a very specific skill that female entrepreneurs could learn and lean into, and then potentially follow that guest expert if they wanted to go deeper in that training. So it's almost like, personal development and business training sent to you on auto repeat every single month. And it honestly started by, I was feeling lonely behind the screen I was building websites at the time in 2016. We had moved to Asheville, North Carolina from Charlotte, and I didn't have a new group of friends yet. And I was just getting a little bit lonely. And so I ordered some subscription boxes, and I remember feeling that surprise, that delight, that excitement, that, I hate to say it, but that retail therapy kind of like filled that gap where I was feeling lonely.
It's good.
And so I took some of those boxes and I just put some of the things that I was buying in them. And I thought, oh, maybe this has legs. I don't know. Let me ask. And started throwing it out there. People were interested. Other women were feeling lonely behind the screen all the time in a virtual world. They wanted community. And I mean, who doesn't love a little Happy Mail?
I know that I love Happy Mail. We have Amazon on speed dial. I don't know if that's actually a thing anymore. We have Amazon coming to our office every day. But I think what I love to hear stories when you try something, you're like, yeah, this is just something I'm passionate about, and let's see if people are interested. And people are interested. I think those are some of the greatest stories. It's just proof of like you get to take something that you love, you say like, hey, will this fly or take? And then it does. And so over that time, what year was this that you first did that?
That was Q4 of 2016.
Okay. And then over a 4-year period of time, did I get that right? You ended up, how many years was it that you moved 65,000 boxes?
It was about 6 years. And
okay.
What I liked, some of the milestones that really made a lot of sense to me was it took me about 4 months to get 100 subscribers. And that's when I started making money. I was beyond the break-even point. And then within 9 months, it scaled to, I was replacing my full-time income by 9 months in, and I was hiring help, looking for a warehouse. And so at that point, I went all in because this started as a side hustle. Once I saw that it had legs, I was able to convince my husband that it also was a viable source of income for our family. And I was super excited. I could see that it was making an impact. I loved doing it. And the beautiful thing, and I have to say this about subscription boxes, is recurring revenue. Like the idea of being able to project better into the future as far as how many sales you're going to get and not having to chase those one-time orders all the time. On average, our subscribers stayed for 9 months. Could you imagine knowing that when you get a new subscriber, that person's going to stick around for 3/4 of the year?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. And one thing that I think is also really important is the experience you deliver. So clearly you delivered a great experience. One thing that you said that I've never heard of is bringing on guest experts to talk to your box. I've never seen anybody do that. Like any subscription box I talk to is like, oh, you get the box, right? Like BarkBox doesn't bring on, at least to my knowledge, or Farmer's Dog doesn't bring on. We have a lot of dog boxes, if you can tell. They don't bring on guest experts to talk about ways to improve your relationship with your pup or anything like that. So the fact you brought in experts, this was like really coordinated. 9 months, you had great retention there. From your perspective, just because I know you also work with subscription boxes, like what do you think one of the largest challenges they're facing right now?
I think probably continuing that or gaining new subscribers. I think getting that first subscriber, and then because once you get them, there are ways to keep them, but having them just tie in and really dig into what you are all about.
I would echo that. As e-commerce, your listeners, they're e-commerce people. It is hard right now, and the game changes all the time. The Facebook ads landscape is so different than it was in 2016. The Facebook groups were so different than it was in 2016 when I first launched. So it's definitely a challenge is to get the new subscriber, but once you have them, man, it's nice to have them month over month over month.
Yeah. What I've learned is everything is great until marketers show up, and then suddenly everything just starts to, or iOS 14. Yeah. Everything is great. Like Threads. I'm like, all right, give it like 17 minutes until marketers figure out the follow unfollow strategy and start spamming this and getting algorithm priority. So new customer acquisition. And now one thing that you did really well is, and that I love, is that you focus heavily on retention. Like when you were running the business, and I know you work with a ton of different subscription box businesses right now, what's something that you do to really maintain and improve retention?
Well, one of our key metrics. Oh, yeah, right, Renae? One of our key metrics is the fun factor. And so one of the things that we like to do to keep people around is to gamify our subscription box. And we teach a lot of our students some different tactics, because you can't just send a box of stuff anymore. You have to create an experience, and that experience has to keep them coming back for more. So we like to do some gamification, and we're happy to share some of those tips with your listeners.
I'm in.
All right, let's do it. So I think with gamification, it really is what it sounds like, is making the experience or whatever you are doing, turning it into a game. So creating elements and aspects of, for your listeners, even if they don't have a subscription box, some sort of product that they're selling, really tying that into different games. And we can give a couple examples. Julie, do you want to start us off with one of them?
Sure. So one of my favorite things to do, and we use this in Sparkle Hustle Grow, and it was wildly popular. We had some of our best engagement, is to creating a game board. So think about games that we played when we were kids, like Chutes and Ladders, the Game of Life. You go through this journey, right, from start to finish, and there's these things that you have to do along the way. So think about what are some of those things that you want your subscriber, or if you don't have a subscription box, think about what you want your end consumer to do. What are some of the things in the transformation of using your product that you want them to go through? And you can create that in a game board so you can encourage their progress along the journey. And you can go to somewhere like canva.com, the desktop design software, and look up templates for game boards, and then just drop in some things on each game piece. So for example, maybe it's to get involved in, if you have a consumer community where all of your subscribers or your customers can connect with each other, maybe you ask them to introduce themselves. And then maybe along the line, you have other types of prompts that you want them to do. So you encourage them along this journey. And one of the things that Renae and I are pretty well known for doing is having prizes. So if someone finishes their game board, they can post that or share that with us on Instagram, for example, or tag us, and we'll follow up and send prizes. And guess what? I'll give you one guess what we use for prizes.
Cash.
Ooh,
that
wish.
Would be even more amazing.
That would be even better. But we use excess inventory so that we can continue getting things off the shelf and not have to go bankrupt just trying to support a promotion. So we like to use excess inventory for prizes.
And it's a perfect way if you have something that's been sitting for a while, just like Julie said, to get it off your chest. And it doesn't necessarily, if you don't want to spend the time or value or resources shipping something, you can offer a coupon code, just some sort of something to motivate them to take action, to participate in whatever gamification you have, whether it be this game board or some other form like a scavenger hunt or a bingo sheet, just taking steps to make them start, because once they start, they'll realize it's fun and it's helping them move their business forward or take action on this product and use the product. So once they start it, they'll want to continue doing it, but just a little prize or incentive to get them started really helps.
You mentioned community. How do you see that work?
As far as
are you talking like Facebook group community?
Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Do you see that do well?
Online community.
Yeah. Do you see that do well as far as like building community around like the box or the products?
And huge for engagement and just creating user-generated content too. One of the prompts or could be post and use this specific hashtag, or post and tag us. So they are doing that and they see other people doing that, so they want to participate, or someone else will chime in like, oh, I've never used that product before, or they have a subscription, or you have a subscription box, they'll say, I'm part of that subscription box too. So just really making those connections, whether it's in a Facebook group or just on their social media, they're able to see that your users are using that product.
Okay. I like that. That's really fun. When you said a game board, the first thing that came to my mind was Monopoly. And when I grew up, we never finished the game because everyone hated each other before the end. So I don't know if that would be the game board I would use if anyone's going to Canva, because most people don't finish that game. They end up double crossing each other and someone walks off after 4 hours.
Monopoly lately though? Now they have little debit cards. Total side note, I played with my sister and my girls the other day. It's like all new. It goes much faster nowadays. So the new version of Monopoly, if you're going to make a game board.
You don't have to count out all the dollars and exchange.
All little debit card. No,
that's so
debit
funny.
Cards.
That's amazing. All right, so use game boards. I think that's great. I might steal that for our mentorship community. So game boards, so they kind of fill out the games. They can then submit it or tag you in UGC stuff and either get maybe a coupon. You'll maybe ship them excess inventory. Do you usually do that in the upcoming box, or do you ship them something separately?
Well, it depends on, I suppose, how big this promotion is. When we were running Sparkle Hustle Grow, we looked at things as a 30-day cycle. It was a guided experience from start to finish, and then would just do the same thing, but with a different book next month or with a different topic. And so we like having a start date and an end date. It not only helps people get the thing done within that timeline, but it also makes it easier for Renae and I to execute. Like, we know, okay, this game board, for example, I have one in my hand if you're watching the video, this game board was for June specifically. So they had 10 things to do in June. If they posted this by the end of June, we would send them their prize. Then we moved on to the next one. So we do have this as a Canva template, and I'd be happy to share it with you, Josh, and you can share the template with your community as well.
Yeah, you drop the link. Everyone, go to link. We'll put the link in the description of wherever this is at. Combat Canva.
And if you don't have a subscription box or don't batch ship all at the same time, you don't necessarily have to ship it to them either. It could be something you deliver via PDF in an email as well. So you can still have a start and finish date and just have them printed out, or send them a link to something that they can post on their stories and check off. So it could be small batched in the sense that it doesn't have to be something they print out. It could be something that they reshare on their Instagram stories or take action that way too.
That's good. I love it. All right. Keep it coming. It sounds like you have a couple of these ideas.
Yeah,
we do.
Renae, I think, Renae, you should share the one about that has something to do with Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in.
Are you a Taylor Swiftie? Are you a Swiftie?
Since Tim McGraw.
Oh, boom, from the beginning.
Right away.
So then you might know, and maybe some of your listeners who are Swifties too, know that Taylor Swift uses a lot of Easter eggs when she is hinting things. So think of, if you're not familiar with what an Easter egg is in the sense of business or having a product, it is if you are hiding things secret, just like when you were a kid or when your kids are Easter egg hunting and there's little hidden treasures that are hiding. That is what you would do with your business. So you would, again, back to Taylor Swift, she would sometimes wear certain things or drop certain clues to things that will be released next, or as she's going through all of the new re-releases of her album. So people are always looking for clues in her lyrics or in what she's wearing or colors or numbers that are in her music videos. So you want to take that same sense of hunting and really just diving into everything you put out there online as a business owner, and have little clues for your subscribers or your customers to hunt for and really really dissect. And it could be as simple as when you're shipping them something, just leaving a QR code, but not necessarily telling them what that QR code is for, to make them a little curious. And then they scan it and it pops up to a video or a discount code or some sort of product sneak peek. So something like that. Very, very hidden.
I like it. That's fun. I've never actually considered doing that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. Do you ever do anything like a golden ticket? I don't know if that's considered Easter egg. Nah, because that's like you're like throwing something in a different box. That's not necessarily Easter egg.
Totally gamification, though. Yeah, it still follows under it, and it's still hidden in a surprise, and not everyone gets one. I think in its own little way, it's literally a golden ticket. You're going more Willy Wonka than Taylor Swift, but it works.
Oh yeah, heck yeah! I'm all in on the Willy Wonka.
Josh, I don't know if you knew this, but on Amazon, you can now buy sticker rolls that are scratch-off sticker rolls. So you could print something on an insert, and then you just peel the little sticker off and cover up whatever it is. You know how
that's cool.
Yeah, you know how like Kohl's always sends out the mailers where you pull back and you either have like 10, 20, or 30% off?
Wait, hold on a second. Like are you telling me Kohl's is having a sale this weekend?
Every month, right? Every day.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, I won't shop there unless I have a coupon. So keep the mailers coming. But it's an easy way. You don't have to make this difficult. You could literally print something out and just take those little stickers and peel it off and cover up whatever that, maybe it's the QR code or maybe it's something else under there. It's some sort of Easter egg underneath, but they've made it really easy to do something like that. You don't have to like batch print all these like absolutely unique identifiers and stuff. Just figure it out, make it simple. Go to somewhere like Amazon and get those little scratch off sticker rolls.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that existed either. I'm learning all kinds of good stuff here. All right, game board, Easter eggs, Taylor Swift, and scratch offs. All right. I like this. What else? Do you have anything else? I added the golden ticket idea. I mean, I guess that's kind of in the Easter eggs.
I mean, that's pretty brilliant. I love it. I guess there's one more. I think one more that we could talk about is really simple, like leaderboards. Everybody likes to have a goal and everybody likes to earn prizes. And so with a leaderboard, just like it sounds, it's whoever earns the most points to whatever that goal is. But if you're thinking about doing some sort of leaderboard, also consider what we call a ladder board. And the difference between the leaderboard and the ladder board is that the leaderboard is looking at everybody. Like I'm against Renae and we're fighting to the top. But with a ladder board, it's about what you do individually. So everyone who earns 5 points is going to get there's virtual high five. Everyone who earns 10 points is going to get this free download. Everyone who earns 20 points is going to get I'm going to send you my free book. Things like that, where it doesn't matter how many points Renae got. I'm just looking at how many points did Julie earn? How many did I earn? And so sometimes that can make it more of a level playing field and can keep people engaged, because I've been in contesting like that before where I was like, oh my gosh, you see who I'm up against? There's no way I'm ever going to win. Like I can't, they're going to blow me out of the water. And then I don't feel engaged anymore. Like I don't feel like I want to be a part of it. So if you're thinking about some sort of prizing with points, consider doing a ladder board contest where people can earn based off of their own individual actions.
Is there a tool that you use for that?
Oh, I don't know particularly a specific tool, but I guarantee there's some tools out there. A lot of times affiliate program software has that type of stuff built into it.
Okay.
So you could check that. But I know we use King Sumo for giveaways. Have you heard of King Sumo software?
Yep.
Yeah. And so with King Sumo software, you can earn specific points for doing things. So 3 points, for example, for following us on Instagram, or 3 points for subscribing on YouTube. And that'll collect things as a leaderboard for you, and you'll earn more prizes. Same thing with what's the other, Renae, do you remember the other software we used for giveaways before?
There's Gleam and Up Viral. Kickoff Labs, okay.
Yeah, they'll do a leaderboard type thing too. So a lot of it's already built into software that we already use, but I bet there's some apps out there too that are made specifically for this type of contesting or prizing.
Or if you're doing engagement in a Facebook group too, your Facebook group will have that information. You can see who's participating the most if you go and you look within your Facebook group settings as well.
You know, it's interesting. There's something that always stuck with me. I forget where I heard this, but I heard the idea of like, pretend you had like one customer and you can never do anything marketing ever again. How would you keep that customer? And then how would you get that customer to get you more customers? And then how do you then reverse engineer the product and the customer experience to make it so great that they can't help but want to go get you new customers? And so these ideas that you're talking about here to me are kind of like that. Like if I had to look at it through the lens of, I can't run another Facebook ad, send another email, make another post on social media, but I could build the most unbelievable, memorable experience that's engaging, that's fun, and my customers are the only people that can go get me more. How would I build that experience? These are ideas to me that I'm like, this is what brings people together. It probably helps churn. It helps repeat business. It helps referral business. I think these are really fun. And I haven't done any of these. Easter eggs, leaderboards, game boards.
Yeah, then we challenge you, another gamification strategy, to do
nice.
One of them.
Well played, Renae.
Coming in hot with a challenge. Okay.
Yes. We use challenges a lot in subscription boxes because you send out a new box every month or maybe bi-monthly or quarterly. And one of the ways that you can get them involved is through a challenge. So one of our students, she has the Active Life box and she does fitness for women. And so she has a monthly challenge in there. So maybe it's a challenge with sit-ups or crunches or something like that. But we've done challenges too that have to do specifically with a product in that box because we don't want those products to just sit there being unused. We want you to pick up the product and use them, engage with them, use and create habits with them. So well played, Renae, with the segue into challenges.
Just throwing one more at you. And it really is, it can be, like Julie said, month-based. It could be when you send out a specific product, you have a challenge within 7 days, within a week, within 24 hours, post this and we'll give you this. You really nailed it, Josh, when you said it's about creating that experience and creating that fun and wanting them to share other things. So that really, it is a lot about your customer, but it's also, there are no rules for this game. You just do it to whatever means you have, whatever's easy, whatever's also fun for you, because otherwise you're not going to continue to want to do this if it's not fun on your end also. And you don't have to break the bank. Yes, you can send excess inventory, you can send them things, but you can also just send them a thank you too. It doesn't necessarily have to be things that take away from what your product profits are.
What I love about that is that actually garners UGC too. Because if we're doing something that uses the product, then it's going to get you UGC. And I even think for anybody listening, you don't, without even shipping anything or having any cost to you, you could do like a subscriber of the month, or you could do a customer of the month, or you could do something like that, right? Or you could do like a craziest photo of the month. If you have like an outdoors product and you're like, take a photo of yourself doing XYZ in the craziest place you can think. And then you get to, showcase that. They get the, being in front of people. They feel really good about it. It costs you literally nothing, but now you have all of this UGC that you can leverage for advertising, which is sometimes hard to get.
Win-win.
Yeah. And I will say we do challenges. Actually tonight we do a monthly event with our community. I have it here in 2 hours, and we did a challenge this month. And one thing that you mentioned earlier with like leaderboards and ladder boards that we've kind of learned too is it has to be equal playing field. Like it has to be like equal opportunity to where it's not based on skill. It's just based on participation. So if you participate, you get like this equal entry. For us, we learned we love wheel spinners. We just think they're fun and they're fanfare-ish. So what we do is when we do our boot, we do these like 3-day e-commerce Facebook ads boot camps every like 4 months or so. And so we'll have all these people, but in order to get it, all you have to do is comment a secret keyword throughout the live stream that we give. And if they comment, it alerts it. Our team takes it, puts them in a spinner. And at the end, we spin it and we give away like AirPods and iPads. We've given away MacBook Pros and just like $50 gift cards to Amazon. And all you have to do is comment keywords. And I will say, ever since we did that, the retention, and now this obviously isn't a product, retention on subscription, but the retention in live streams is like 95% till the end, as soon as you add a wheel spinner. So that's what we've learned. So
really
spinning wheels is what we like to do with people's names. But
and what software do you use for that?
Wheelofnames.com.
I'm writing that down. I'm totally looking that up.
It's free. And I would say this for anyone that does any kind of like even a challenge, or let's say if you complete the game board, you get one entry, right? So or everything on the game board gets you one entry, whatever. We just take their names and we'll put it in there multiple times if they have multiple entries, or just one time. We just keep a Google Doc, copy and paste in a wheel of names, and it has this huge, of course, big pie of names, and you just spin it and it adds all this fun. So I almost feel like the wheel spinner is really a layer to all of these ideas you have with the fanfare aspect of it. So I like that. Cool.
And it really makes it adds an extra, like exactly like you said, a little layer. So instead of having to give out 100 prizes, you could say, I'm giving 5, but you'll get 100 entries. I like it.
Cool. Well, this is good. I really appreciate you both sharing. Do you have anything you want to add on this?
No, that was fun. I hope that your listeners are feeling inspired to think about which of these types of tactics, these gamification tactics, that they might be able to use in their business. It could be used for any type of business, not just subscription boxes, whether you're product-based, service-based, or brick and mortar, whatever.
And I would just add to that, start small, keep it simple, make sure that not only your customers are enjoying it, but you're enjoying doing it too.
Cool. Well, Julie and Renae, I'm excited to have you. Thank you for your time. Everyone, on behalf of Julie and Renae and me and Dylan, our legendary producer behind the scenes, we want to thank you for listening to the Ecommerce Alley podcast. If you aren't part of the Ecommerce Alley Facebook group, it's completely free. There's like 4,000 or something of us there. Go to alleypodcast.com/group to join that. And if you have not yet connected with Julie and Renae, you need to go to Subscription Box Basics on their website and then all their social media platforms. Go check out their podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.